He was a pathetic, lonely loser until one day he found an SS rank servant card and awakened the strongest goddess. Now he has become the strongest explorer, surrounded by many beauties. The story starts with a boy named Kaido inside a dungeon. A slime attacks him, and he defeats it using bug killer spray. He feels proud, but it is clear he is still weak compared to other explorers. He has been entering the dungeon for 2 years, yet he still has the lowest explorer status because he can only defeat slimes on the first floor. He has already killed 9,999 slimes in total, and he wants to end the day by reaching a round number for his daily count, so he goes further inside. While moving deeper, he discovers a rare golden slime. He tries to attack it with spray, but it avoids the first hit. He then uses a stronger spray gun and successfully defeats it. Even after defeating such a rare monster, he does not level up, which surprises him. He decides to collect the slime's magic core because it may be valuable. When he gets closer, he notices a servant card has dropped. He checks the card's details, becomes convinced it is rare, and looks around to make sure nobody else is nearby who could steal it. He searches for information about the card, but there is nothing in the database. He only sees that it is a Valkyrie type card, and because Valkyries are treated like demigods in mythology, he suspects it could be extremely valuable. Later, he sees a group of explorers and tries to greet them, but they ignore him. This makes him feel inferior, and he wishes he had better equipment. He starts thinking that selling the card could change his life and allow him to buy everything he wants. He goes to the reception desk where Hitsugaya buys 3 slime cores from him for 500 yen. Before leaving, he asks her about the value of an angel-type servant card, and she tells him it can sell for more than 1 billion yen. He becomes shocked by how much servant cards can be worth. After that, he meets his friends Shinji and Hayato. They talk about their explorer passes, which let them enter attraction areas for free. They ask if he is still level 3, and he admits he is not improving because he only fights slimes. He wonders why they do not return to the dungeon, and they remind him about their experience on the 2nd floor. When they first met a goblin, they assumed it would be easy, but they were badly defeated and had to use potions to recover. Because of that, they stopped going deeper. They are surprised. Kaido has been hunting slimes for 2 years without getting bored. He refuses to explain his motivation and only says he has personal reasons. Kaido returns home, and his parents worry that his dungeon work might affect his studies. He reassures them. While bathing, he thinks about the servant card. He understands that selling it could make him rich, but using it could give him power to explore deeper floors. The next day, he walks to school with his classmate Haruka. She mentions seeing him return home late and asks where he went. He lies and says he was out with friends. They meet Shinji and Hayato, and Kaido quickly tells them to support his lie because he does not want Haruka to know he goes to the dungeon. Haruka asks what they did the day before, but all 3 give different answers. This makes her suspicious, but Kaido insists he did not go to the dungeon. In class, Kaido asks his friends what they would do if they found a rare servant card. They say servant cards are best sold because they are worth a fortune, and a servant can only be summoned inside a dungeon. They also assume Kaido does not have such a card because they are extremely rare. Kaido realizes that once he summons a servant, the card cannot be sold anymore. Even so, he chooses power over money and goes back to the dungeon to use the card. When he activates it, a huge angel appears and reaches toward him, but it suddenly disappears and transforms into a girl who introduces herself as Sylphie. Kaido feels disappointed at first because she looks weak, and he regrets losing the chance to become rich. Sylphie notices something strange about his reaction, but he pretends he is fine and brings her along to hunt monsters. Sylphie immediately detects slimes and guides him to one. Kaido is about to defeat it using spray, but he asks Sylphie to show her strength instead. She destroys it instantly with a divine lightning spell. Kaido is stunned when he learns she has 170 battle points, making her far stronger than him. Sylphie says she is hungry, and Kaido realizes she wants to eat slime cores, so he gives one to her. She senses more slimes and is ready to defeat them, but Kaido stops her because he needs the cores to earn money. He makes a new plan where she will locate the slimes and he will defeat them himself. This method finally allows Kaido to level up. He gains a skill called Slime Slayer, which increases all his stats by 50% when fighting slimes. He feels the skill is not very useful because it only works in slime battles. Sylphie encourages him, praising him for finally gaining a skill, and he becomes emotional because he has struggled for so long without progress. Before leaving, he promises to summon her again soon and sends her back into the card. He returns to Hitsugaya with a huge amount of slime cores. She is shocked and says it is a record for the most slimes hunted in one day. She pays him 15,000 yen. That night, Kaido thinks about Sylphie's strength and believes that with her support he can finally go to the second floor, although he is still afraid of goblins. He falls asleep and dreams about Captain Katsuragi, a famous hero who explored deep into the dungeon and was praised for courage and wisdom. The next day, Kaido enters the second floor with Sylphie, hoping to learn the truth about the dungeon and become a hero like Captain Katsuragi. As soon as he arrives, he starts shaking with fear. Sylphie holds his hand, and it helps him calm down. He remembers his first time on the second floor 2 years earlier, when the fear of goblins was overwhelming. Sylphie senses a goblin nearby, and Kaido immediately tries to run away. He then remembers his dream and realizes he cannot become a hero if he has no courage. He forces himself to stop panicking and prepares for battle. They approach the goblin quietly. At first, Kaido wants Sylphie to defeat it, but he changes his mind because he wants to prove himself. His legs still tremble, so he tells Sylphie to help only if he is in danger. Kaido attacks the goblin but misses. The goblin charges, and Kaido blocks with his shield and pushes it back. He swings again, but the goblin knocks his weapon away. The goblin lunges at him, and Kaido uses spray to blind it. He retrieves his sword and tries to finish it, but he trips on a stone. Even with that mistake, he ends up stabbing the goblin by accident and wins. He nearly cries from fear and stress, and Sylphie praises him. Kaido levels up from defeating the goblin and is shocked because killing a huge number of slimes did not help much, yet one goblin increased his level. He gains a new skill called Goblin Slayer, a skill given to someone who defeats a goblin alone after overcoming fear. It increases his stats by 10% when fighting goblins, but it is temporary because his victory depended on luck. After that, Kaido and Sylphie continue hunting goblins and his stats keep improving. When Kaido asks Sylphie about the dungeon, she says she does not know anything about it, except that her purpose is to be useful to her master. Later, he goes back to Hitsugaya, and she is shocked to see goblin cores. She praises him because collecting 4 cores on his first attempt is impressive. The next morning, Kaido's mother wakes him up, but he is so exhausted that he can barely move. She tells him to stop pushing himself so hard. When he meets Haruka, she notices his body is sore and assumes he has been in the dungeon, but he denies it. He makes up an excuse, saying he started training like a bodybuilder to build muscle. Haruka tells him that kind of look does not suit him at school. Kaido tells Shinji and Hayato that he has started fighting goblins. They are surprised he actually defeated one, and he gets annoyed because they doubted him. He says he feels more confident now, so he plans to go deeper. He continues hunting goblins and reaches level 10. He is shocked at how much his stats rise. He then gains a new skill called God's Blessing. The skill is for people loved by the gods, and it increases the amount his stats grow each time he levels up, depending on how much the gods favor him. Kaido becomes excited because it is an extremely strong skill. He bows to Sylphie because he believes the skill is connected to her. He holds her hand and tells her he is glad they met, and Sylphie feels happy because she has a master who truly cares about her. Later, they find a glowing skeleton. Kaido thinks it might be connected to his god's blessing. Sylphie creates a barrier, and the skeleton cannot break through it. Kaido attacks with his new weapon, but it does no damage, and he is surprised by how tough the skeleton is. He tells Sylphie to use Divine Lightning, and she defeats it. However, it only drops a core, which disappoints him because he expected rare loot. Sylphie says she is hungry, and Kaido notices the core is red, meaning it might be valuable, but he feeds it to her anyway. After returning, Kaido asks Hitsugaya how much that red core is worth. He is stunned when she says it sells for over 2 million yen. Hitsugaya can tell he is upset because he lost something rare, but she encourages him by saying he might find another glowing skeleton in the future. That night, Kaido cannot stop thinking about the money he lost, but he also feels Sylphie deserved the reward because she has been helping him grow stronger. He believes he is almost ready to enter the 3rd floor, but he worries the monsters there may attack in groups. The next day, Kaido tells Sylphie he will fight alone for a while. Sylphie worries she did something wrong and asks if he does not need her anymore. Kaido explains that he wants to go to the 3rd floor, but he does not want to rely on her too much, so he wants to improve on his own. He says he trusts her and sees her like a younger sister instead of just a servant. Sylphie feels lucky to have him as her master. Soon after, a goblin appears, and Kaido insists on fighting it himself, but he ends up injured. Kaido buys a potion from Hitsugaya, but it is extremely expensive and leaves him broke. He realizes that to survive the third floor, he needs better equipment, and also needs enough magic cores to feed Sylphie. The next day, he returns to the first floor to hunt slimes and collect cores. While talking to his friends about his plan, Haruka overhears, but he manages to convince her they were discussing something else. He gathers many cores and prepares to enter the third floor. Before going in, Sylphie detects a silver slime. Kaido attacks it with his spray gun, but it tries to escape. Sylphie kills it with divine lightning. The slime drops a devil-class servant card. Kaido hesitates, but he has always wanted both a god-type and devil-type servant with him, so he uses the card. A girl named Lucilia appears. Kaido feels disappointed because she looks different from the image on the card. Lucilia insults him and says he seems too foolish to be her master. Sylphie gets scared and hides behind Kaido, telling Lucilia to respect him. Lucilia says she means no harm and claims she is simply acting like a devil. Lucilia says she is hungry, but Kaido refuses to feed her because she has not helped yet. Sylphie senses a slime nearby, and Lucilia promises to eat after defeating it. She summons a spear and launches a fireball that causes a huge explosion. Kaido is not surprised, because Lucilia has 130 battle points. He gives her the magic core, and she eats it but demands more. He refuses, and Lucilia gets annoyed, but Kaido promises another core if she keeps helping. They meet a goblin, and Lucilia uses corrosive breath that melts it instantly. Everyone is terrified by how brutal her power is. She eats the goblin core and says it tastes better than the slime core. She wants to go deeper immediately, but Kaido stops her and says they need better equipment before entering the third floor. He assumes she might be tired, but she still wants to continue. Sylphie explains to Lucilia that Kaido is stopping her because he cares about her safety, and Lucilia agrees to wait until the next day. The next day, they enter the third floor. Kaido reveals he bought an expensive crossbow, but Lucilia tells him weapon quality is not decided by price. They encounter two hellhounds. Kaido shoots, but misses, and the hellhounds charge. Sylphie protects them with a barrier while Lucilia blasts the hellhounds away. Kaido gives Lucilia one core as a reward, but she demands both because she defeated both enemies. Kaido refuses and says she will get more later. Lucilia threatens to send him to hell if he is lying. Two wild boars attack next. Lucilia tries to destroy them, but one boar gets past. Kaido decides to handle it himself. He shoots an arrow into its eye, but it still rushes at him. He panics and falls. Sylphie tries to help, but Kaido fires again and hits the boar's head, finally killing it. Sylphie praises him. Lucilia criticizes him, saying he fell because he panicked. Kaido denies it and says he only tripped. After this, Kaido realizes he is not earning much because Lucilia keeps demanding his cores. He overhears a group of girls talking about reaching the 6th floor after forming a party, and he wonders if he can eventually reach that level with Sylphie and Lucilia. At school, Kaido looks unusually happy. His friends worry about university plans, but Kaido has not been thinking about that. Haruka overhears and asks what university he wants. Kaido answers that he wants to stay in the same school as her. Back in the dungeon, Kaido keeps hunting monsters, and Lucilia eats most of the cores. Kaido asks Sylphie if something is wrong, but she says she is fine. At home, Kaido watches a movie and starts worrying that Sylphie and Lucilia might eventually fight, so he feels he needs to prevent that. The next day, Haruka notices Kaido looks like he did not sleep. He cannot tell her the real reason, so he explains it as a problem between two girls with opposite personalities, where the kind one does not like the other. He asks what he should do, and Haruka advises him to talk honestly with the kind girl about her feelings. In the dungeon, Kaido summons Sylphie and asks if she hates Lucilia. Sylphie says she was scared at first but now likes her. Kaido still feels she has been acting different, so he asks her to be honest because she matters to him. Sylphie admits she is bothered by how Kaido has been treating Lucilia kindly and giving her more attention. She is also upset because Kaido has been giving Lucilia more cores to eat, and since Lucilia arrived he has been talking to Sylphie less. Kaido promises to fix it. As they continue exploring, Kaido praises Sylphie, which makes Lucilia jealous. Lucilia demands praise too. They fight a wild boar, and Sylphie levels up after defeating it. She becomes excited and credits Kaido for her growth. Later, 3 hellhounds appear, and Kaido asks Sylphie to handle them so he can see how much stronger she has become. Sylphie uses divine lightning and defeats them instantly. Another wild boar charges, and Sylphie uses her barrier again. Kaido notices the barrier lasts longer than before. Lucilia prepares to finish the boar, but Kaido decides to defeat it himself and shoots it with his crossbow. After the fight, Kaido gives 2 cores to Sylphie and none to Lucilia because Lucilia did not help. Sylphie still asks for more cores because she is hungry. Kaido realizes her appetite increased after leveling up. When he returns to Hitsugaya, she notices he has been bringing back fewer cores than before. Later, he goes back to the first floor to farm slimes again. Lucilia tries to step in and help, but Kaido stops her because if the servants defeat the slimes, he will not get enough cores to sell. Lucilia complains that summoning them is pointless if they are not allowed to fight. But Sylphie reminds her that their role is to support Kaido. Kaido explains that their presence motivates him, so Lucilia switches to simply cheering him on. Hitsugaya is surprised to see Kaido selling slime cores again, because she assumed he would already be pushing toward the 4th floor. Kaido knows his current gear is not good enough for that level, so he searches online for equipment. When he finds an armor set he likes, the price shocks him because it is far more expensive than he expected. The following day, they encounter a special slime. Kaido decides they must defeat it at any cost. Sylphie and Lucilia destroy it using magic, and Kaido expects another servant card drop. Instead, he finds a magic orb. He gets excited because it connects to his dream of becoming a wizard, so he uses it immediately. The orb breaks and grants him a new water-type spell. He wants to test the spell on a hellhound. He asks Sylphie to protect them with a barrier and tells Lucilia to step in if his attack fails. He fires a water ball and lands a direct hit, but it does almost nothing. The hellhound attacks, Lucilia finishes it, and Kaido feels disappointed because his new spell seems weak. He starts thinking it would have been smarter to sell the orb instead of using it. That night, Kaido meets Haruka and thanks her for the advice she gave earlier, since it helped him fix the tension between the 2 girls. Haruka realizes he asked her for that advice for personal reasons, but Kaido claims it was for his friends. Haruka leaves, and Kaido notices something odd about her mood. He briefly wonders if she might be jealous, but he dismisses the idea. Kaido returns to the dungeon and focuses on training his water spell. He improves control over it and learns to change its shape, but the training drains him. When he exits the dungeon, he collapses from exhaustion and bumps into a girl named Eri. She notices how worn out he looks and warns him to be careful. Kaido apologizes and walks away. Eri realizes he must have been pushing himself hard. Her companion Miku calls him strange, but their friend Hikari says they should work as intensely as he does, so they decide to hunt as many monsters as possible. At school, Kaido falls asleep in class and gets scolded by the teacher. He says he will work hard at training, which makes the class laugh. His friends ask why he is training, and he explains he is trying to improve his water ball so it will help him during dungeon runs. Haruka overhears and asks if he has been training in the dungeon. Kaido denies it and lies that he is practicing dancing. Haruka tells him to take better care of himself. During battles, Kaido uses the water ball in a new way by forcing it into a goblin's mouth, causing the goblin to drown. Even with better techniques, he realizes he is stuck at level 11 because the 3rd floor monsters are not giving him enough experience. This makes him consider going deeper. The next day, he appears wearing the expensive suit he saw online. Lucilia insults his look, but Kaido explains the suit is meant for protection. The material is thin, so he still feels pain when hit, but it helps. He also bought a bracelet that boosts spell power, hoping it will strengthen his water magic, though he admits he has not tested it yet. They finally enter the 4th floor, and Sylphie senses something dangerous. A giant cockroach appears, and both girls panic and attack it with spells. Kaido explains that the 4th floor is full of roaches, then realizes the girls rushed ahead and left him behind. They reach the 5th floor, and Kaido catches up. Sylphie apologizes and says fear made them run. Kaido does not stay angry and points out they cleared the 4th floor extremely fast. He also collected cockroach cores, but when he feeds them to Sylphie and Lucilia, they hate the taste. On the 5th floor, they encounter sand and mud-type monsters. Kaido attacks them but learns they do not take physical damage. He asks Lucilia to handle them, and she burns them away with hellfire. Kaido realizes this floor forces him to depend on the girl's magic. While moving forward, Sylphie senses something behind a wall. She breaks it and reveals a hidden route. They enter the secret passage, and Kaido warns them to be cautious because it feels risky. Lucilia triggers a trap, and an arrow hits Kaido. After recovering, they continue and reach a huge door. Sylphie senses a powerful presence behind it. Kaido cannot open it and assumes they need a key item, but Sylphie blasts a hole through the door with divine lightning. Inside, they find two boss monsters. They choose to focus on the ogre first. Sylphie and Lucelia attack it with magic, but the ogre is immune to magic and charges them. Sylphie blocks it with her barrier. Kaido tells Lucelia to handle the slime boss while he targets the ogre, since it is weak to physical damage. Kaido fires arrows and confirms the ogre can be hurt by physical attacks, but he runs out of arrows. At the same time, Lucelia struggles because the slime is also immune to magic. Kaido uses his water ball again, but the spell suddenly changes into ice. He realizes the bracelet boosted his magic enough to evolve the spell. He fires the ice attack at the ogre, and it finally works well. His mana is low, leaving him only 3 more shots. He reshapes the ice into spikes and aims for the ogre's head, defeating it. The slime boss nearly hits Lucelia, and Kaido steps in to protect her. His shield starts melting from the slime's attack. Sylphie uses her divine spear and punches a hole through the slime, but it still survives. Kaido considers retreating, then remembers Captain Katsuragi and forces himself not to run. He charges in and repeatedly attacks the slime using bug spray, while Sylphie keeps her barrier up for protection. He switches to his stronger spray guns and continues spraying until the slime's health drops to 0 and it disappears. After the battle, everyone celebrates, but Kaido is injured. He drinks a potion to recover. Lucelia levels up, and Kaido realizes he has reached level 15, making him feel closer to other real explorers. When he checks the rewards, he finds a red core and a magic sword. He recognizes the sword as rare, but is confused because it looks like a kitchen knife. Kaido tries selling the red core, and Hitsugaya questions where he got it. He explains the hidden area, and Hitsugaya decides to send someone to investigate. She tells him the core is a special type, and its exact value is unknown, but she still offers a high price for it. She also invites him to a coming event where explorers will form teams to investigate the 7th floor. Kaido agrees. Back at school, Kaido brags to his friends that he is about to clear the 6th floor so he can take part in the event. He says he is excited to team up with other explorers. Haruka overhears and misunderstands, thinking they are talking about a dance party. His friends go along with the misunderstanding, and Haruka says she wants to join too. At the event, Kaido sees a huge crowd of adventurers who signed up. He runs into Eri's group and wonders if they will end up on the same team. A flashback reveals Haruka is Captain Katsuragi's daughter. She watches him leave, and he promises he will come back early so they can eat dinner together. She waits for his return. In the present, Haruka wakes up and goes to school while wondering if Kaido has been training again. The explorers line up for the event, and Kaido is placed with Eri's group. A transfer gate activates and sends them to the 6th floor. Kaido admits he was nervous because he rarely uses transfer gates, and the girls admit they were nervous too. A staff member points them toward the 7th floor and explains the event lasts 3 hours. They spot a convenience store and decide to buy supplies. Miku notices Kaido's bag is packed and wonders how the girls carry so much. They show him their magic bags. Kaido is shocked because magic bags are extremely expensive, and the girls explain their parents bought them. Kaido realizes they come from wealthy families. Eri says Kaido looks well equipped, and he explains he worked hard to afford his gear. Miku mocks his outfit again, and Eri tells her she is being annoying. Later, on 7th floor, Miku explains this floor is packed with golems. Soon, they meet a team of custodians. The custodian leader recognizes they are part of the event, greets them politely, and wishes them luck. Hikari comments that the custodians are responsible for keeping the dungeon clean, and she is glad they take their work seriously. Kaido asks everyone's levels. He says he is level 16. Eri says she is 2 levels above him, while Miku and Hikari are level 15. Miku also points out that Hikari has an unusually large amount of mana. A stone golem appears, and Eri immediately charges in and defeats it easily by slicing it in half. Kaido is impressed. Right after that, a bronze golem approaches. Eri uses a spell called Earthwave to stop it in place. Miku summons her servant, Snatch, and it starts clawing at the golem. Hikari fires a firebolt that burns it, and then Eri finishes it, dropping its health to 0. Kaido praises them, but an iron golem appears behind them and prepares to strike Hikari. Eri blocks the attack and hits the golem with full strength, but its armor is too hard. Hikari's firebolt does not work either, and even Snatch's attacks are ineffective. Snatch gets hit during the struggle. Kaido considers summoning Sylphie and Lucelia, but instead, he drops his magic sword and remembers what he learned about it. The sword can cause the kind of damage the user imagines, as long as the attack lands. Kaido decides to use that ability. He tells Hikari to use Earthwave, and when the spell activates, he runs behind the iron golem and stabs it. He imagines the sword shattering the golem completely, and the iron golem disappears, showing he successfully defeated it. After the event, Ares' group is impressed that Kaido defeated an iron golem using his magic sword. He explains the sword's ability and says he obtained it from a monster drop. He also tells Miku that Snatch is amazing and feels unreal, like something out of movies. Miku explains that servants do not appear on camera, which makes Kaido realize that could be why the guild has no proof of Sylphie and Lucelia. He asks if Snatch is being kept secret, but Miku says Snatch was bought at an auction and properly registered with the guild, so it is not hidden. Eri asks Kaido if he wants to party with them again because they plan to reach the next transfer gate, located on the 11th floor. Kaido feels he is not good enough because he thinks he has nothing special. The girls tell him it does not matter because they enjoy having him around. They ask if he is currently in any party, and Kaido says he is not working with other explorers, but he has a god and a devil with him. They do not understand what he means. Kaido considers keeping his servants secret because he worries people will think he is strange, since Sylphie and Lucelia look very young. He tells the group he needs time to think because he has to talk to someone first before deciding. The girls understand his situation is complicated, so Eri tells him to take his time. Later, Kaido puts on his contact lens that lets him view stats around him. He returns to the dungeon and summons Sylphie and Lucelia. They seem upset because he did not summon them at the usual time. He explains he has been busy. He tells them about Ares' group, and they say he does not need another party because he already has them. Kaido later meets Haruka. She asks if he is free on Saturday because she wants to go shopping with him, and he agrees. Haruka meets her friend and walks away. Shinji and Hayato congratulate Kaido, thinking he got a date. Kaido insists it is only shopping. They ask about the event, and Kaido tells them he joined a party with 3 girls around his age. His friends think being an explorer sounds exciting and start considering returning to the dungeon. Kaido and Haruka go to the mall. They see an advertisement about magic cores. Haruka notices Kaido paying attention and suspects he is interested in dungeons, but she tells him not to think about that for today. She asks about the last time they went out together, and Kaido remembers having fun with her father when they were younger. Haruka tries on clothes and asks Kaido's opinion. He keeps saying everything looks good. She asks which outfit he likes most, and he chooses the one she is currently wearing, so she decides to buy it. After shopping, Haruka says she wants to ride a boat. Kaido joins her, and he notices they are surrounded by couples. He starts feeling like this looks like a real date, but he assumes Haruka would never ask him on an actual date. Haruka notices his body looks stronger and assumes it is because he has been training. She says she is having a great time. Later, at a train station, they see the same magic core ad again. Kaido watches it again, and Haruka notices. Haruka then sees a mother with a baby and says she wants to go somewhere before going home. They go to the guild, and Haruka recognizes the dungeon is nearby and starts thinking about her father still being inside. She remembers the day her father promised they would have dinner together, but he never came back. She wonders why people keep going into the dungeon. She tells Kaido she had fun, then ends the day and walks away. Kaido quietly says he wants to become a hero like her father, but Haruka hears him, so he quickly pretends he did not say anything. Back in the dungeon, Kaido trains by combining his water spell with his sword to make a frozen blade. He uses it to defeat a golem. Sylphie thinks the technique looks cool, but Lucelia realizes he is doing it to impress Ares' group. Kaido is surprised. Lucelia can tell. Sylphie starts worrying that Kaido might be unhappy with them and might join another party. Lucelia is also angry because Kaido has been feeding them fewer cores. Kaido agrees not to join the party, but Sylphie changes her opinion and says she will support him. She asks why he wants to join another group, and Kaido explains that Sylphie and Lucelia are too strong, so he wants to improve his own abilities by working with Ares' party. Sylphie respects his effort. Kaido says he will only join Ares' party on weekends. At home, Kaido feels nervous about calling Ares. Before he calls, Haruka phones him. Kaido asks Haruka how to help someone feel less nervous, claiming Shinji is nervous about calling a girl. Haruka tells him about when she was younger and got nervous before a performance. Her father poked her to make her smile, which helped her calm down. Kaido tries it and says it helped. Haruka realizes the advice was actually for Kaido, because he is calling another girl, and she says goodnight. It becomes clear she wanted to ask him out but got jealous. Kaido calls Eri and says he can join their party, but only on weekends. Eri says it works because they attend school during the week and only explore the dungeon on weekends anyway. On the weekend, Kaido explores with Eri's group again. He tells Hikari to use Earthwave and tells Miku to summon Snatch to distract the Golems. Kaido uses his ice sword to defeat 2 Golems, and the girls finish the rest. They are impressed by his new technique. Eri also notices his commands are very accurate, suggesting he is not used to working completely alone. Kaido suddenly gets hungry, so they stop to eat. He is shocked by how luxurious their lunch is and realizes they live on a much richer level than him. The next day, they decide to go down to the 8th floor. Kaido is wearing a life jacket. Eri asks if he cannot swim. Kaido says the 8th floor has water monsters in flooded areas, so he is being careful. He also says the jacket has magic resistance. They follow Snatch, which detects an enemy ahead. An axolotl-like monster appears and spits acid at Kaido, destroying his life jacket instantly. Kaido is shocked and dodges the next attack. Miku kills it with her crossbow. They face more monsters, and then Kaido gets grabbed by a squid and thrown into the water. He panics, but Eri tells him he can just stand up. The girls realize he truly cannot swim. They later run into a swarm of fish. During the fight, Kaido's spray gun runs out of ammo. He uses his ability to copy Eri's weapon and starts cutting through the fish with it. They defeat the swarm, but Kaido runs out of mana from overusing his power and collapses unconscious. Later, Kaido wakes up and finds himself resting on heaven, so he quickly sits up. He realizes his mana is back, and Eri explains she used a magic potion on him. Kaido apologizes because he assumes it must have been expensive, but Eri says it is fine because they are in a party and should support each other. Miku adds that they collected plenty of fish cores anyway. Snatch suddenly detects something coming. A huge dinosaur-type boss appears. Kaido tells everyone to escape, and they run, but the boss chases them. Their exit gets blocked by rocks, so Kaido says they have no choice but to fight. He gives the group a plan, but even when they follow his instructions, their attacks do not work. Kaido manages to stab the boss with his sword, but he can tell the damage is too small. While he distracts it, Eri climbs onto the monster's back and stabs it in the head, but it still survives and throws her off. Kaido runs to her, but she insists she is fine and says she will become a hero. Kaido realizes the situation is getting worse. The boss turns toward Miku and Hikari, ready to strike them, so Kaido activates his servant cards and summons Sylphie and Lucelia. He apologizes for calling them suddenly, then orders them to defeat the boss. Sylphie and Lucelia cast their spells and destroy it completely. Kaido thanks them, but Lucelia gets irritated because Kaido has been spending time with other girls. Miku suddenly hugs Sylphie because she thinks Sylphie is adorable, and Hikari becomes interested in Lucelia. Kaido apologizes for hiding the servants from them. Miku suggests they celebrate their new bond by bathing together, so they go to a bathhouse. Eri is amazed that Kaido has both an angel servant and a demon servant. The girls relax together while Kaido ends up on his own with Snatch. After that, Hikari and Miku head home, leaving Kaido alone with Eri. Kaido thinks about Eri's goal of becoming a hero, so she explains she has wanted that since childhood. She remembers asking her father why people need to be strong, and he told her it is so they can protect the people they care about. He said, those who can do that are heroes. That became Eri's dream, and the reason she became a dungeon explorer. Eri then mentions her university is holding an open weekend, and invites Kaido to visit. Kaido tells Shinji and Hayato about the invitation, and they suggest he should go with Haruka instead. Kaido thinks that will never happen, but Haruka and her friend overhear them. Kaido forces himself to invite Haruka to visit Oka University. Haruka becomes happy because she thinks he wants to go to the same university as her, so she agrees. Shinji and Hayato claim they are busy, so Kaido and Haruka can have time alone. When the weekend comes, Kaido is surprised Haruka is wearing the outfit he chose earlier. They take the train to Oka University, and Haruka tells him to sit closer. She thanks him for inviting her and says she always wanted to visit the campus, so she is glad she can go with him. Kaido notices the situation feels like a date, but he convinces himself Haruka does not feel that way. Haruka says she is excited to see the university, but then Shinji and Hayato suddenly appear. Kaido is confused because he knows they were interested in other schools. They say they just wanted to see the event and promise not to interfere. Kaido notices another explorer-related advertisement, and Haruka asks if he feels disappointed that he is not in the dungeon. Kaido says he is happy spending time with her and promises to forget about the dungeon for the day. They arrive at the campus, and Shinji and Hayato are impressed by how good it looks. Haruka points out the cherry trees and says that once they enroll, they will walk under the blossoms. Kaido starts imagining a romantic moment with her, and Haruka notices he is acting strange. Kaido reminds himself it is too soon to daydream because he still needs to improve his grades. At the reception area, they meet Eri. Eri asks who the boys are, and Shinji and Hayato introduce themselves. Eri asks if Haruka is Kaido's girlfriend, and Kaido quickly says they are only friends. Eri tells them to explore freely and says she will give them a tour later. When Eri watches them walk away, she repeats that Haruka is only Kaido's friend, but she feels relieved anyway without knowing why. Shinji and Hayato ask about Airi, and Kaito explains he met her in the dungeon, and she was the one who invited him to the event. Haruka becomes visibly bothered after hearing that, because she realizes Eri is the reason Kaido chose to visit this campus. Haruka reminds him about his promise to stop thinking about the dungeon. Before Kaido can respond, Shinji and Hayato drag him away, telling Haruka they are going to get flowers. While walking, Shinji and Hayato ask Kaido if he formed a party with Eri. They are jealous he met her, but they also know Haruka worries about him because of the dungeon. They warn him to be careful about what he says around her. They visit the auditorium and see how huge it is. They also see a digital chalkboard, and Haruka explains students can attend classes using tablets. Kaido notices a defibrillator and almost compares it to dungeon equipment, but Shinji and Hayato stop him before he says something suspicious. They keep touring and feel the campus looks perfect. Shinji and Hayato start worrying. They cannot get admitted because their grades are not strong enough. Kaido realizes he is also not doing well academically, so he decides he needs to study seriously if he wants to attend the same university as Haruka. Shinji and Hayato then ask how he will pay the expensive tuition. Kaido almost says he will fund it through dungeon exploring, but he notices Haruka listening, and changes it to saying he will get a part-time job. Kaido starts imagining another sweet moment with Haruka, but then Hikari and Miku show up, and Kaido introduces them to Shinji and Hayato. Haruka asks how he met them. Kaido tries to come up with an excuse, but Hikari and Miku directly say they met him in the dungeon. Haruka becomes upset. Kaido looks pale, and the girls notice it. Eri arrives and invites everyone to eat lunch at the cafeteria. At lunch, Shinji and Hayato are impressed by the food. Eri explains, the cafeteria is cheap and even offers free drink refills. Everyone eats and realizes it tastes great, and they start calling Oka Academy the best. After eating, Haruka leaves with Kaido to get drinks for everyone. While they are gone, Hayato asks the girls if they know an explorer instructor named Anigawa. The girls say they dislike him because he is too strict. Hayato imitates him, and the girls find it funny. During the conversation, the girls learn Shinji and Hayato are also licensed explorers, even though they stopped going into the dungeon. Hayato explains they used to sleep through lessons, so they missed important information. He mentions that once he used a potion during class, but it did not work, because dungeon items lose their effect if the user is more than 3 kilometers away from the dungeon. Eri explains the dungeon park was built within a 3-kilometer radius of the entrance, so researchers can properly test items inside that zone. She adds that there are rules they must follow while inside the park. The boys think it sounds like a fun place to hang out. Kaido and Haruka return with drinks. Haruka questions why everyone enjoys the dungeon so much. They later visit the swimming pool. Kaido remembers Haruka saving him when he almost drowned and also protecting him from a stray dog. Around this time, Hikari says she feels strange and has never felt this way before. Miku thinks it might be because of Kaido. They go toward the soccer field. Hikari keeps staring at Kaido and loses balance, but Kaido catches her and asks if she is okay. Hikari thanks him, and the others say Kaido's reflexes are impressive. Miku jokes and asks how long he plans to hold Hikari, so he lets her go. Miku checks on Hikari, but Hikari does not respond. A soccer ball suddenly flies toward Miku. Kaido kicks it away, and it goes straight into the goal. Everyone reacts like he did something incredible. Eri invites them to the dojo. She demonstrates her skills, and everyone applauds. During this moment, Eri realizes she has fallen in love with Kaido. Before everyone separates, they exchange contact information. Eri tells them to contact her if they have questions about the academy. She is happy they spent time together, and Kaido looks forward to seeing them again. On the train ride home, Hayato asks Shinji which girl he likes. Shinji says he cannot choose because he likes all 3. Hayato says they should start exploring the dungeon again so they can meet girls. He asks Haruka what she thinks, but she tells them to do whatever they want. That evening, Kaido walks with Haruka and tells her he will study hard so they can attend Oka Academy together. Haruka then asks if he likes anyone from Irie's group. Kaido says they are not his type. He then admits he likes someone, but refuses to say who it is. Haruka asks why he calls everyone else by their first name but calls her by her last name. Kaido notices she seems bothered, but she ends the conversation and goes home, saying it is nothing. Later, Kaido takes a bath and thinks about why Haruka has been acting upset. He realizes she is jealous, but he still believes that cannot be true because he thinks she does not like him that way. He then remembers Sylphie and Lucilia and realizes he did not summon them recently. He assumes they will be angry and starts thinking about what excuse he can give them. The next day, Kaido offers them his magic cores, but Lucilia complains that he abandoned them. Kaido explains that he had to attend a school event. To make it up to them, he offers 3 cores each, but they reject it and demand 200 cores instead. A rare slime appears behind them, so Kaido tells them to attack. Sylphie and Lucilia destroy it with their magic. Kaido increases his apology offer to 10 cores each, and they accept, warning him not to leave them unsummoned again. Kaido checks the item the rare slime dropped. After reading its stats, he learns it gives him access to an invisible kind of power. He tests it, but nothing obvious happens at first, so he assumes it is invisible. He strikes the water and finally sees an impact. The effect seems too weak for direct combat, so he combines the invisible power with his magic sword. This lets him split the water, and he realizes he can use it to control his ice magic more effectively. Ari's group shows up. Kaido says he wants to enter the university but worries his grades are too low. Ari offers to tutor him. Kaido asks if Haruka can join the tutoring too, and Ari agrees. Her friends also say they will join. Kaido notices his servants look jealous, so he gives Sylphie and Lucilia extra cores to calm them down. The girls in Ari's group find the servants cute. They reach the 9th floor, where Sylphie senses a strong monster ahead. There is no path around it, so they decide to fight. While Ari reminds everyone they should retreat if it becomes impossible. They encounter a huge monster, and Lucilia identifies it as an orthos. They are confused because an orthos is not supposed to appear on the 9th floor. Kaido suggests retreating, but Orthos charges before they can leave. Sylphie protects everyone with a barrier while Ari and Miku prepare their magic guns. Hikari uses Earthwave to restrain the Orthos. Lucilia attacks with Hellfire, but it does not work well, and Orthos breathes fire. Lucilia uses Corrosive Breath, and Miku orders Snatch to attack, but Kaido can tell they still are not dealing enough damage. Kaido chooses to distract Orthos and changes the plan. He orders Lucilia to target its stomach. Lucilia rushes in and blasts it. He orders Sylphie to charge with her divine spear. They repeat the attacks, but Orthos keeps fighting and prepares to breathe fire again. Kaido blocks it with his water ball, and the entire team attacks at once until they finally defeat Orthos. Everyone celebrates, and Miku suggests resting because they are exhausted. Before they can relax, Sylphie senses another dangerous presence. A voice speaks, saying they only defeated his dog. A demon named Bellia appears. They realize Bellia was controlling Orthos, and he challenges them. He says he will not let them escape. Bellia attacks with dark magic, but Sylphie's barrier blocks it. Kaido attacks with his sword and realizes Bellia moves extremely fast. The group fires, spells and attacks, but their hits do nothing. Lucilia thinks Sylphie's magic may be needed, but Kaido believes the barrier is more important for survival. Ari says they will be fine and claims she can follow Bellia's movements. So Kaido tells Sylphie to drop the barrier and attack together with Lucilia. Even then, their attacks still do not work. Bellia charges at Kaido, but Ari blocks him. Bellia pushes Ari away and attacks Kaido. Kaido defends with his magic sword and ends up breaking Bellia's weapon. Bellia becomes furious because the Duke gave him that sword, so he starts punching Kaido and smashes him into a wall. Kaido drinks a potion while the others keep fighting. Kaido then creates a new plan. He tells Miku to distract Bellia, and she starts firing at him. Kaido uses the opening to appear behind Bellia and stab him. Bellia falls, and Kaido hopes it is over, but Bellia stands back up and heals himself. Kaido complains it is unfair because monsters usually do not heal like that. Bellia hits Kaido again and tries to finish him. The girls jump in to protect Kaido, but Bellia defeats them instantly. Sylphie charges with her divine spear and gets thrown away. Lucilia tells Kaido to run while she tries to stop Bellia, but Bellia pushes her back too. Kaido refuses to abandon anyone. He remembers that Lucelia has a skill called Beauty of Gluty. The skill temporarily boosts her stats by consuming the target's health. Kaido tells her to use it. Lucelia warns that to use it fully she must consume his life force while it is active, and that could kill him. Kaido accepts anyway and says he trusts her. Lucelia activates the skill and transforms into an adult form. She says her levels have returned, though she still is not at full strength. Bellia uses dark magic, but it fails completely. Lucelia explains that Bellia is far below her level because she is a vile class devil. Bellia is shocked and asks why she is there. Lucelia says she is going to punish him for harming her companions. She uses her God Killer spell, overwhelms him instantly, and his body disappears. After the fight ends, Kaido starts feeling sick and says he might die. He begs Lucelia to deactivate the skill. Lucelia asks if Kaido likes her adult form and says she will obey after he answers. Kaido tells her she looks amazing and promises to treat her kindly. Lucelia returns to her normal form. Kaido realizes he leveled up and gained a new skill called Pain Resistance, which he believes will help him endure Beauty of Gluty in the future. The others say they leveled up too. Kaido feels everyone earned it because they nearly died. They decide to leave for the day. Kaido notices Orthos dropped a magic core that is much larger than normal, and he also finds Bellia's servant card. He asks what they should do with it. The group tells him he can keep it. Kaido says he does not need another servant because he already has Lucelia. Lucelia says Bellia has a very low devil rank and suggests selling the card instead. Kaido ignores that advice and summons Bellia anyway because he expects another strong servant. Bellia appears, but he turns into a child. Bellia explains his level was reduced when he was summoned. Kaido immediately regrets not selling the card. Bellia begins crying. Later, Kaido is in the shower, still questioning why he summoned Bellia. Bellia appears behind him and starts washing his back. He begs Kaido not to abandon him because he wants to stay. Kaido promises he will not sell him. The girls overhear this and realize Kaido and Bellia have already become close. They return to Hitsugaya and show her the large core. Hitsugaya is shocked that an Orthos appeared on the 9th floor, so she decides to send a team to investigate. She offers Kaido 24 million yen for the core, and he cannot believe the amount. Kaido says he wants to split the money with the girls because they helped defeat the monster. Hitsugaya tells him she can prepare documents for filing taxes, but Kaido does not understand what that means. Later, Kaido eats with the girls and asks Eri for help because he does not know how taxes work. Eri tells him to keep track of expenses. Kaido admits he threw away his receipts, and the others tell him to save them next time. As they prepare to go home, Eri says she had a great time, and jokes that rare things seem to be drawn to Kaido, since they encountered an Orthos and a devil on the 9th floor. Kaido thinks she might be right because he has already obtained 3 servant cards, but he still believes there is nothing special about him. Later, Miku calls Hikari, and both of them feel excited to go back into the dungeon because they want to test their new abilities. Miku warns Hikari not to push herself too hard. Hikari says she is fine, but after the call ends, she starts coughing and looks sick. The next day, Kaido tells Bellia to show everyone what he can do. Bellia says he needs a weapon because he is a knight. Kaido remembers Bellia's sword was broken, so he hands him a rod, saying it is the only usable weapon they have right now. Bellia uses the rod to defeat goblins, and Kaido realizes Bellia is actually a skilled fighter. Lucelia points out that Bellia is slower than before. Bellia explains his body is still basically level 1, but he begs Kaido to let him stay because he wants to help. He promises he will work hard to become the group's sword. Kaido accepts him and looks forward to fighting alongside him. Kaido then wants to test Bellia's healing skill. He intentionally lowers his own HP and tells Bellia to use Dark Cure. The spell only restores a small amount. Bellia explains that Dark Cure is designed to heal just enough to keep someone from dying. Kaido immediately starts thinking about combining that with Lucelia's Beauty of Gluttony to create an endless loop. Lucelia is interested, but Kaido reminds her that his HP would already be low, so it could still be dangerous. Soon after, Kaido injures his hand by tripping on a rock. Bellia uses Dark Cure, and Kaido notices it also removes the pain. Kaido realizes the skill is useful. Meanwhile, Hikari tests her Ice Circle spell to freeze a golem, and Eri uses her new ability to finish it. Kaido is impressed, but Eri explains her skill burns an extreme amount of mana, so she cannot use it casually. More golems appear. Miku uses illusion magic to confuse them, while Snatch activates a technique called Hedgehog, shooting countless needles. They defeat the golems, and Kaido notices how much stronger their teamwork has become. They move further in and run into another monster group. Kaido asks Sylphie to activate her new Song of Valkyrie skill. Sylphie sings, and a huge angel appears. Kaido feels a strange energy flowing through him. The enemies seem to move slower, and Kaido kills one instantly. Lucilia burns a goblin with hellfire, and Bellia defeats the last monster. Kaido asks if Sylphie's skill affected everyone. Lucilia says she felt stronger, but Bellia says he felt nothing. They assume it is because Bellia is not close to Sylphie yet. Eri tells Bellia he needs to build stronger bonds with everyone. Bellia says he fights best with a proper sword, so Kaido decides he will buy him one. Bellia cries with happiness and promises to work even harder. Another group of monsters shows up, and once Bellia has a sword, he defeats them easily, impressing everyone. Kaido asks Bellia for sword advice, and Bellia is eager to teach him, but Kaido says he has to go home. Eri invites him to study at her house. Kaido and his friends wait in front of a gate while Eri and Miku arrive. They ring the bell, and the gate opens, but Kaido is confused because he cannot see Eri's house from there. The girls get into a car, and Kaido wonders if he can ride too, but Hikari explains the boys have to walk. The boys realize the walk is unbelievably long. When the girls reach the house, Haruka says it looks beautiful. Eri explains, her family has run a martial arts dojo for many years. She says their land is designed to build the perfect balance between mind and body. After a long time, the boys finally arrive. Eri takes everyone to the dojo, and they are confused because they expected to study in her room. Eri explains, there are too many people, so the dojo is a better space. Everyone sits down. Eri tells Kaido to sit beside her and asks what subject he needs help with. Kaido says math, and she starts tutoring him. Haruka watches them closely. Eri then says she also needs study help. Shinji and Hayato volunteer to teach, but Kaido knows they are not great students. Eri says she wants Haruka to teach her instead. Kaido comments that Haruka is a good teacher, and Shinji and Hayato tease him, saying he likes Haruka. Kaido insists they are only friends. Eri becomes jealous. Eri says everyone should go to the waterfall to clear their minds. The girls meditate, and Haruka says her mind feels calm and clear. Kaido stares at Haruka and thinks she looks cute. Then Haruka tells the boys it is their turn to meditate. The boys try standing under the waterfall, but they hate it. Afterward, the boys look exhausted, but the girls say it was fun and they want to study there again. They return to the dungeon later. Lucilia seriously scolds Kaido for wasting time at the waterfall. Hikari says it was enjoyable and says she wants to reach the 10th floor that day. Miku again tells her not to overdo it. Hikari says she has been having fun lately and says she wants to become a hero. Monsters appear. Sylphie uses Song of Valkyrie. Hikari freezes them, and the team finishes them off. Kaido is shocked they can defeat 9th floor monsters so easily now. His servants eat the magic cores, and Miku jokes that Lucilia looks like a hamster while eating. As they are about to reach the 10th floor, Eri tells everyone to follow her. Suddenly, Hikari collapses, and they notice she is bleeding. A flashback from 2 years earlier shows Miku in a card shop. A boy challenges her to a duel. Everyone knows Miku is the shop champion and that the boy has never beaten her, but he keeps challenging her anyway. Miku defeats him again and tells him he is wasting his time. The boy gets angry and accuses her of only winning because she pays to win. Miku responds that it is also skill, because rare cards alone do not guarantee victory. She says the player still has to know how to use them. The boy leaves, and it is shown that Miku often feels bored. Then Hikari appears and says she wants to challenge Miku. Later, Hikari is shown in the dungeon hospital. The staff has given her medicine that will keep her asleep for the entire day. Eri thinks they should leave, but Miku refuses and says she wants to stay by Hikari's side. Kaido assumes a potion should cure her, but Miku explains potions do not work on Hikari's illness. Hikari's parents arrive. Miku apologizes, but they tell her it is not her fault and thank her for taking care of Hikari. They recognize Kaido and Eri and say Hikari has talked about them before. They mention Hikari said she enjoyed going to the dungeon park because of them. After hearing that, Miku suddenly runs away. Kaido and Eri excuse themselves and chase her. Miku breaks down and says Hikari was always smiling. She remembers when Hikari first challenged her to a card duel. Miku noticed Hikari's cards looked similar to hers and wondered how Hikari copied her deck, since Miku's deck cost a fortune. She also realized the deck did not match Hikari's style, because Hikari was not an aggressive player. Miku won the match and asked why Hikari did not build a deck that fit her own style. Hikari admitted she copied it because she admired Miku. Miku decided to help her build the perfect deck, and they became close friends. Miku stopped feeling bored because Hikari brought excitement into her life. Later, they entered a national tournament together as a pair and became champions. During the award ceremony, Hikari suddenly collapsed. Miku rushed her to the hospital, where Hikari was placed in intensive care. Hikari's parents arrived and told Miku they should have warned her about Hikari's illness. Back in the present, Kaido asks what illness Hikari has. Miku stays quiet, and Eri realizes she does not want to talk about it. Then Hikari's father explains the truth. Hikari has an incurable disease that slowly causes organ failure. He says she could die if she collapses again. Eri cannot understand how Hikari always seemed so energetic. Miku explains that medicine suppresses Hikari's symptoms, which is why she looks normal most of the time. She also says Hikari's stats increase whenever they enter the dungeon, which helps her even more. Hikari's father realizes she has been exploring the dungeon, but he does not blame her because he knows she wanted to go. Kaido asks why Hikari kept going into the dungeon, and Miku explains it is because of a miracle medicine called the elixir, an item that can cure any illness. A flashback shows Miku in the card shop researching the elixir. She learns it is an extremely rare item that can only be found in the dungeon. Hikari appears and realizes Miku is planning to search for it. Hikari insists on joining. Miku tries to stop her because the dungeon is dangerous, but Hikari refuses to stay behind. Eri also explains she wants to find the elixir because it could push research forward and save many lives. She does not want Miku doing it alone. Miku sees Hikari will not change her mind, so she agrees to let Hikari join. They decide they will search for the elixir together. Hikari says she wants to become a hero for people suffering from illness. Back in the present, Hikari's father thanks Miku for bringing Hikari into the dungeon. Miku says it is the only thing she can do for her right now, and Kaido notices that line sounds familiar. Kaido and Eri decide to help Miku find the elixir. They believe it might be on deeper floors, so they decide to continue pushing forward. The next day, they enter the 10th floor. Monsters approach, and Sylphie uses Song of Valkyrie. Kaido orders everyone to spread out, and they defeat the monsters one at a time. Bellia complains that none of them dropped the elixir, but Miku says they just have to keep grinding because it is extremely rare. A sand-type monster appears and restrains Kaido. Miku uses illusion magic to confuse it, forcing it to release him. Bellia charges in and slices it apart. After the run, they return to the hospital and tell Hikari about what happened. Hikari says she wants to go back into the dungeon so she can help fight. Miku and Eri prepare to leave, and Eri tells Kaido she wants to become a hero who can protect Hikari, because that is the only thing she can do right now. Hearing that makes Kaido feel like he has heard the same words before. Kaido then gets a call from Haruka asking about Hikari. Kaido considers lying, but he suddenly remembers where he heard that phrase. He remembers Captain Katsuragi saying he explores the dungeon because he wants to be everyone's hero, and that it is the only thing he can do right now. Kaido ends the call and returns to the dungeon because there is still time before it closes. He reaches the 10th floor with his servants and finds a huge monster. He decides to fight it because he wants to become a hero like Captain Katsuragi. Later, Haruka sees Kaido walking home looking exhausted and becomes worried. At home, Kaido's mother asks why he always comes home late and assumes he is busy with work. Kaido reassures her and says he will not overdo it. The next day, Kaido arrives late and interrupts class. The teacher scolds him for not being punctual. After class, Hayato and Shinji ask Haruka if she plans to visit Hikari. Haruka says she will not. Kaido is asleep nearby, and they ask if he is okay. Kaido says he is just tired, then explains he has to go back to the dungeon because he needs to find the elixir. Hayato and Shinji go to the hospital. Hayato plays card games with Hikari but cannot beat her. Hikari says Haruka always texts her, but she wonders why Haruka never visits. Hikari thinks it is because of what happened to Captain Katsuragi. She says she read a book about dungeon history and noticed Captain Katsuragi and Haruka share the same family name, and their eyes look alike. Hayato confirms Captain Katsuragi is Haruka's father and says he went missing after reaching the 41st floor. Hikari believes Haruka avoids the park because it reminds her of her father. Hikari still believes he might be alive, and she says she wants to search for him once she gets better. Back in the dungeon, Kaido's group fights a flaming sphinx. Sylphie uses her song to boost everyone. Miku uses illusion magic to distract it while Eri attacks from behind. Miku fires at it, and Kaido uses his magic sword to deliver the final blow. They level up after the fight, but the sphinx only drops a magic core. Kaido still wants to keep pushing and says they should go deeper. Afterward, Hitsugaya tells them they earned over 4 million yen. Kaido tells her to split the reward into 4 shares, because Hikari is still part of their party. Later, Kaido goes home and watches a TV show where the characters say rare items usually appear deeper in the dungeon. That makes him believe going deeper will raise his chances of finding the elixir. He searches online for details about the monsters on the 12th floor. The next day, Kaido falls asleep in class again. His teacher scolds him and the classmates laugh. After school, he rushes toward the dungeon, but his friends tell him to slow down because he is overworking himself. Haruka also tells him to rest because she knows he is pushing himself for Hikari. Kaido still goes anyway. He plans to enter the 12th floor without Eri and Miku, but he suddenly stumbles. Sylphie notices he is exhausted. Lucilia warns him not to force himself, but he says they are only going to scout. They reach the 12th floor and see it is covered in ice. They look around and notice there are no monsters. Kaido decides they should turn back, but Sylphie suddenly senses something wrong. A huge stampede of wild boars rushes toward them. Sylphie puts up a barrier and they run, but the boars are gaining on them. They cannot escape, so they have to fight. Sylphie uses her song to boost everyone. Lucilia attacks with hellfire, but the boars push through it. Kaido and Bellia start fighting up close, while Sylphie calls down divine lightning. They manage to kill several, and both Lucilia and Sylphie level up during the battle. Kaido loses balance again and gets hit. The boars pile onto him, and his HP nearly hits 0, but Bellia saves him. Sylphie says she and Lucilia gained new skills when they leveled up. They cast their new magic together while the stampede keeps charging, and their power combines into a huge explosion. During the chaos, Kaido passes out. Bellia tries healing him, but Kaido still will not wake up. Sylphie finds potions in Kaido's bag and tries to make him drink one, but he cannot swallow. She forces the potion into him using her mouth. His condition improves, and Lucilia does the same. They take turns doing it, trying to wake him up. Kaido finally regains consciousness and thanks them, but he collapses again right after. Kaido wakes up in the hospital. A doctor examines him. Eri and Miku arrive and ask Hitsugaya what happened. Hitsugaya explains he got caught in a stampede. The doctor says Kaido's injuries were healed by the potion, but he still needs rest and must stop pushing himself. Miku asks Kaido if he is okay. Kaido admits he was terrified. After leaving the hospital, Eri offers to walk him home, but Kaido says he is fine and runs off. Eri and Miku are left confused about what is wrong with him. Kaido goes home and burns his dungeon magazines, including an article about Captain Katsuragi. Then he goes to see Haruka. He tells her he finally understands how she has felt, because he truly thought he was going to die in the dungeon. He says he now understands how scared and worried she must always be. He explains that Katsuragi was his hero, and when Katsuragi disappeared, people criticized him. Kaido says he could only watch Haruka suffer from that, so he decided to prove the critics wrong. He wanted to do what Katsuragi could not, clear the dungeon, and become a hero not for himself, but to prove Katsuragi was still a hero for Haruka's sake. Kaido apologizes and admits he is too scared to keep going. Haruka is touched that he did it for her at first, but she says he is now doing it for Hikari too. She repeats what her father taught her about heroes. A hero is someone who serves, protects, and sacrifices themselves for others. She tells Kaido he is already her hero, and she believes Hikari feels the same way. Haruka admits she worries whenever Kaido goes into the dungeon, but she believes he will regret it if he quits now. She encourages him to keep going. Kaido hesitates because he does not even know if the elixir is real or how to make it drop. Haruka tells him the only thing he can do is act within his limits. That gives Kaido an idea. He prepares to return, but Haruka makes him promise he will come back safely. Kaido meets the others at the dungeon and tells them a new plan. Instead of going deeper, they will farm slimes on the first floor. He says rare things seem to appear around him, so he believes slime farming might be the fastest way to get the elixir. Miku argues rare items come from deeper floors, but Eri reminds her that Kaido found Sylphie and Lucilia on the first floor, so it is possible. They begin killing slimes non-stop. Shinji and Hayato also join. Everyone focuses on saving Hikari. After a long time, they take a break and start losing hope because no rare drops appear. Shinji suddenly wishes everyone a Merry Christmas. Hayato jokes that maybe Santa will bring them an elixir. Kaido suggests throwing a Christmas party so they can celebrate with Hikari too. Miku says she refuses to give up. Right then, Sylphie senses something unusual, something she has never felt before. They follow the feeling and find a rainbow slime. Kaido says they cannot let it escape. They surround it and attack. Sylphie and Lucelia fire spells, but it is not enough at first, and the slime tries to flee. Everyone blocks its escape and attacks together until they finally defeat it. Around the same time, Eri and Miku take Hikari out of the hospital. A doctor tries to stop them, but Hikari's parents decide to trust them. They bring Hikari to meet the others. Miku tells Hikari they have something important to show her, a servant card dropped from the rainbow slime. Lucelia explains the card is for Titania, the fairy queen, and it is a healing type servant. Everyone hopes Titania might heal Hikari. Hikari asks if they are sure, but they tell her to summon it. Hikari uses the card, and Titania appears and introduces herself. Kaido explains the master is sick. Titania says she is only level 1, so she cannot fully cure Hikari. Everyone panics, but Eri notices Titania said she cannot cure her completely, meaning she can still improve her condition. They ask Titania to heal Hikari anyway. Titania uses her power and Hikari starts glowing. After the healing, Hikari is able to get up and says she feels good. Miku hugs her immediately. Hikari calls Miku her hero, then tells everyone they are all her heroes. Later, Kaido tells Haruka what happened. He explains Titania's healing will only last about a year, so they still need to help Titania level up or find the elixir to fully cure Hikari. Haruka understands this means Kaido will keep going into the dungeon. She only reminds him of their promise to return safely. She wishes him a Merry Christmas. Kaido tries to confess something to Haruka, but her mother interrupts and tells Haruka she will catch a cold outside. After that, Kaido and Haruka visit a shrine. Haruka asks what he wished for. Kaido says he wished for safety in the dungeon. Haruka cannot believe that is still all he thinks about and wishes he would wish for something normal, like getting into college. In the end, Kaido continues going into the dungeon with all his friends. And that's where this video ends. Watch this following video until a new one.